Okay, Eric, you're reading Rumplestiltskin. Go ahead. Part 1.
Once upon a time, there was a miller who had a beautiful daughter. He loved his daughter very much. He also loved to brag about her. One day, the king rode by the miller's house. "Your Highness," said the miller, "I would like you to meet my daughter. She is very beautiful indeed. Many fair maidens live in this land," said the king. The miller wanted the king to think his daughter was special. So he said the first thing he thought of where my daughter can spin straw into gold. The miller said, "My good man," the king said, "let us see about that." So the miller took his daughter to the palace. The king took the miller's daughter to a small room. "Spin all this straw into gold by morning," said the king. "If you do not, you must die." With that, the king laughed. He locked the door behind him. The miller's daughter stared at the spinning wheel. She did not know what to do. She began to cry. Just then, the door opened. A strange little man walked in. "Good evening, miller's daughter," he said. "Why do you cry?" "I must spin all this straw into gold," said the miller's daughter. "If I do not," the king said, "I must die." "I could spin this straw into gold," said the little man. "What will you give me if I do it?" he asked. "I will give you my necklace," said the miller's daughter. The little man grabbed the necklace. He sat down at the spinning wheel. Whirl, 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 whirl. The pile of straw became a pile of gold in a wink. The little man was gone. When the sun came up, the king came into the room. He looked around and smiled. "I am pleased," said the king, "but I want more gold." He took the miller's daughter to a bigger room. It had more straw. "Spin all of this straw into gold by morning," said the king. If you do not, you must die. With that, the king left. Again, he locked the door behind him. The miller's daughter began to cry. Again the door opened as on the night before. The little man came in. "Good evening, miller's daughter," he said. "I could spin this straw into gold, too. What will you give me if I do?" "I will give you my ring," said the miller's daughter. The little man grabbed the ring. He sat down at the spinning wheel. Whirl, whirl, whirl. The piles of straw became piles of gold. In a wink, the little man was gone. When the sun came up, the king came into the room. He looked around and smiled. "I am very pleased," said the king, "but I want more gold." He took the miller's daughter to a huge room. There were many piles of straw. "Spin all this straw into gold by morning," said the king. "If you do, we will marry. If you do not, you must die." The king laughed and locked the door. The miller's daughter began to cry. Again, the door opened as on the 2 nights before. The little man came in. "Good evening, miller's daughter," he said. "I could spin this straw into gold, too. What will you give me if I do?" "I have nothing else to give you," the miller's daughter said. She tried to wipe the tears from her eyes. "I see," said the little man. Then you must promise to give me something." "Anything," cried the miller's daughter. "Anything at all." "I want your first child," said the little man. "Oh, quite," the miller's daughter promised, said the little man. "I promise," said the miller's daughter. The little man sat down at the spinning wheel. Whirl, whirl, whirl. The piles of straw became piles of gold. In a wink, the little man was gone. Then the sun, when the sun came up, the king came into the room. "How grand," said the king. "My dear, we shall be married today." And so the miller's daughter became the queen.
Good.